What's up, Vetters? Patrick here with Vetted. I have an insane story for y'all today. So remember, Representative Paulina Luna yesterday went on Joe Rogan. That video went out. It's great. There was one part that it didn't include, and because, well, it unfolded after my video went out and the interview on Joe Rogan went out. People are saying that Representative Paulina Luna called out David Grush, Chris Mellon, and Lue Elizondo in her Joe Rogan interview and said that they got sick. They got the skiff flu. They were supposed to be in a skiff sometime in May and didn't show up because they all got sick. And they keep getting sick and they can't show up, and she thinks they're full of crap. But there's a lot more to the story, and Lue Elizondo has responded, and he's not too happy with the situation. How does it start? First, Stephen Greenstreet of the New York Post post this clip, 30-second clip, and that's important to remember. It's just a short clip of Paulina Luna, and he includes this in his X post, right? He includes the names David Grush, Chris Mellon, Lue Elizondo, and that Luna had called them out specifically. But let's watch the clip because Luna doesn't actually name any names.
The problem is I've reached out to some of the biggest names in UFO lore, okay? And they all got skiff flu, and we call it skiff flu, meaning like the day that the skiff was open, that we reserved it, we're like, we're here, like, come on, come brief us. They get sick, or
and
their dog dies.
And they didn't recover and come back?
They didn't recover, and then they just don't talk to us anymore. So
they ghost you?
They ghost us. Yeah, so I'm like, well, if you're not gonna tell me to skiff, then you're full of crap.
So, and look, this clip from Stephen Greenstreet is only 30 seconds, but if you let this whole clip play out just a little bit longer, listen to what Joe Rogan says in response, because I think, just to be fair to the whole thing, there's maybe a little bit more to this story.
We've had our fill. Like, the one thing I wanted to do when I first got the task force is open up a skiff to any person who held a clearance to come brief us on what they knew about UAPs. And I can tell you that we've now had
what was
the skiff.
What was the first conversation like when the door shuts and you're like, oh boy, I'm gonna get the goods?
The problem is I've reached out to some of the biggest names in UFO lore, okay? And they all got skiff flu, and we call it skiff flu, meaning like the day that the skiff was open, that we reserved it, we're like, we're here, like, come on, come brief us. They get sick, or
and
their dog dies.
And they didn't recover and come back?
They didn't recover, and then they just don't talk to us anymore. So
they ghost you?
They ghost us. Yeah, so I'm like, well, if you're not going to tell me to skiff, then you're full of crap.
Or you're scared for your life because you're just a scientist who doesn't, maybe they got threatened. Maybe someone let them know that maybe someone hung something on their door in the middle of the night.
But if people say they're going to go tell us in a skiff and then they don't show up, it's a problem, right?
Well,
so they've already gone public.
But maybe those people don't feel like the government's going to protect them.
That is one of the biggest things that we've had people bring up, is that you're a whistleblower, but whistleblower protections only go so far, and you can't do anything for my physical safety. And some of them do allege that there's these actual physical concerns.
So you see, that I think you got to always get a little more context, because one, she doesn't call out any names, right? But I do think that is who she's talking about, right? Because if we look through the history of the skiff and who was supposed to have it, it's supposed to happen with them.
When do you think we'll get a UAP hearing?
We actually have and being noticed currently, so you guys will see all that information coming out.
What happened with this week's hearing?
Well, we have 2 skiff briefings this week, and by the way, Mellon got sick, Lue Elizondo got sick, and Mr. Grush also is not feeling well, but Grush has been very helpful. So my message is, we got the skiff, you guys need to be here for the skiff briefings.
And Lue Elizondo responded, so clearly he thought it was about him as well. And speaking of, let's take a look at Lue Elizondo's response to this. And, you know, by the way, Lue Elizondo has me blocked, but either way, I can see the post. He says, after several visits to DC at the request of members of Congress at my own expense, we were given cancellations at the last minute. After coming back home again, I made it clear the last time that I had a pre-existing commitment. I was given 3 days notice and no guarantees while having committed to speaking in Oregon, publicly available. Luna knows the truth, and we have the emails to prove it. I will chalk this up to her not being informed by her staff and an innocent mistake. I hope. Otherwise, let this be a lesson to future whistleblowers who want congressional protections. This is all about media attention and less about truth. I hope this is not the case, and I suspect Chris Mellon and others at AUAPDF that know the truth may have more to say about this. I don't know what that acronym is, but it's a little passive aggressive. Let's be real, right? It's like, I hope that's not what she's saying, but if she is, let this be a lesson to all the other whistleblowers who go to Congress. I mean, so now Luna against Lue Elizondo, right? And Luna has kind of fired shots at Lue before she kind of threw some shots at him when he testified, like, hey, you're here to promote your book. We don't care about that.
You participated in the House Oversight Committee's UAP hearing on Wednesday. What was your biggest takeaway? What did you learn that shocked you the most?
But what I will state is yesterday, was I a little bit disappointed in some of the responses from the witnesses? Yes, we got some great stuff. But, I'm not interested in hearing about people's books. I'm interested in hearing about whether or not people can answer the questions.
Here's a clip of Luna kind of, asking questions to Lue Elizondo in that hearing back in November of 2024. God, that was a long time ago.
Mr. Elizondo, in regards to these aircraft being piloted by whatever they might be, non-human biologics, would you agree that it's likely that they are being piloted by some mind-body connection?
Ma'am, I think it is safe to presume here that they are being intelligently controlled because some cases seem to anticipate our maneuvers, and in other cases they seem to, I came across an email where the word stalked was used in a very secure email between Navy officers discussing their ships being pursued by a UAP.
In our previous panel, we had Grush, and he had testified to say that some of these were interdimensional beings. Can you speak on that at all?
Ma'am, I'm not qualified, certainly as a scientist or otherwise, to speculate points of origin. I looked at everything from a scientific perspective. So if you look at, for example, instantaneous acceleration, which was one of the observables of the program that I belong to, ATIP, the human body can withstand about 9 G-forces for a short period of time before you suffer negative biological consequences, blackouts and ultimately redouts and even death. Comparison, our best technology, the F-16, which is this older platform, but one of our most highly maneuverable aircraft, manned aircraft, made by General Dynamics, can perform about 17 or 18 G-forces before you start having structural failure, meaning that the airframe begins to disintegrate while you're flying. The vehicles we're talking about are performing in excess of 1,000, 2,000, 3,000 Gs.
So would it be safe to infer that they're living craft?
I'm not prepared at this point to state for the record is something alive or not, because even that definition is hard. There was a time in science we thought that life required oxygen, and we now know that's not true. There are anaerobic bacteria that thrive in oxygen environments that lack oxygen. And also same with photosynthesis. When I was in college, I was told everything is derived from photosynthesis as a form of energy. In reality, that's not true. There are things that live off of chemosynthesis. So we're constantly having to reevaluate our understanding of what the definition of life is.
And, as well as in that response that Lue Elizondo put, he did, screenshot an email, right? So he put an email and he tried to redact it, and he did not do a good job. You can see everyone's email address. So, not a good redaction at all. And he gave away his friend's email address, like David Grush, Chris Mel. He just put him on blast, basically. Should have been done differently, and he left that up. I mean, essentially, just trying to prove his case. And look, to be fair to Lue, I think what he's saying does sound a little reasonable, right? If they're like, hey, okay, you got to come in, you got to do this. I mean, look at the email. It does say, like, we got to change things. Congress is tough. I mean, can you come in on this day? Hope to see you then. We'll let you know when. I mean, who can do those last minute things, especially if it's at your own expense? So I get it. I get it, right? I get it. There's a little bit of both, I think, right? From both. I think they're both a little right? It's a little frustrating. It's hard to just get people in the same room together. Just think about your own family. Imagine a skit, So I don't know. But Luna is clearly frustrated with people not coming out and saying things in a more organized professional setting when they're willing to say them in a less organized, less professional setting, i.e. podcasts, YouTube videos, X, whatever, conferences. But, when the rubber hits the road, they're not showing up for these skiffs or hearings or whatever, right? All this stuff with just trying to get people to testify at these hearings, right? They had to move back the hearings because they couldn't get people to testify. So that's really the problem. We could be having hearings, just people don't want to testify. The people they want. We want firsthand witnesses, right? So they've set a standard for who they want. I'm sure lots of other people who've heard things want to testify, but that's not who we're trying to hear from, right? So anyway, I got the frustration all the way around. What do you know or excuse me, what do you think? Let me know in the comments. Lue Elizondo, Luna, you know, the skiff, what's going on there? What do you think? Is Luna, you know, understandably frustrated? Does that seem reasonable? Is what Lue said kind of reasonable too, what he's saying? It's kind of like they're both a little reasonable in my opinion. But anyway, that's it for today's video, y'all. We'll see you on the next one. Remember, every day's a gift, y'all. Peace.